Hey, this is Oracle Ball here. Hey, what's up guys and girls, this is Oracle Ball here, and today we're doing another Sound Design Weekly. And before I start the video though, I'd like to thank you guys for over 125 subscribers on YouTube, over 275 followers on SoundCloud, and over 100 likes on Facebook. I really appreciate that. And it keeps motivating me to make more content for you guys, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, to get to the sound was requested by Konvex, and the sound is the drop lead on this track, Valentino Con, Deep Down Low, dapp, retwerk. The artist is dapp. Anyway, here's the drop lead. So yeah, that's the lead sound. What I have here, I didn't quite nail it, but I got some key concepts down that are important to that kind of sound. But anyway, I'm just gonna play the sound so you can hear it. As you can see, I didn't nail it, but like I said, I got the key concepts down that kind of get a sound like that. And the key concepts is the pitch envelope, your volume for attack, and the bit crusher, which gives it that quality and helps with the riser effect, as you'll see as I explain this. But that's the finished sound. I'm going to go to the source sound, and I started with a harmor. And my harmor right here, I loaded up harmor, and the first thing I did, because I knew I wanted a sine wave, I went to the timbre, which where the saw wave usually is, and I shut off all the high harmonics, and everything is off except for the first harmonic. Excuse me, right here. So this says the first harmonic is on, and this is the second one right here, and it says this is off, and everything else is after that is off. If you have all these on, it's going to be a side wave, and that's why the square wave is every other harmonic's engaged with this wave graph. That's, if you didn't know, a square wave is the same as a saw wave, except it's every odd harmonic of a saw wave. So if you count the harmonics in a saw wave, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The square wave has the same harmonics, except there's none of the even ones. So there's no 2 or 4, it just skips those. And those are the harmonics of a square. So that's why this graph makes a square wave. But anyway, back to the sound. I wanted a sine wave because I knew it started with a simple sound. And then I went to the pitch, and I created this pitch envelope where it comes up 2 octaves, and then it goes up another octave, all within 1/16th note, and sounds like this. Or I can play it in the pattern, actually. I'll play it right there. Yeah, don't know why it's doing that. But you kind of get the idea. It's just doing that, and that's what the pitch is doing. And then I also have a low pass filter here, and all this is doing is just every 8th note it drops down to kind of add more snappiness to the sound as it evolves over time as it's pitching up. And for the post processing, I actually have quite a bit going on. I start with this. As you can see, it looks like there's not a lot going on because there's 2 mixer channels. I have this first EQ here, and it takes out this frequency because there's a really annoying frequency right here I didn't like, so I just cut it out with this band stop. And then I did a high pass because there's some annoying low frequencies, and then a low pass that's really sharp to cut off some annoying highs. And then I throw it into a delay. And this delay has a really fast delay time, so it adds a metallic quality to the sound. I can show you when I have the mix level up higher, you'll hear the metallicness. And if, as you can see, add kind of metallic quality. And then I added the effector, so I knew it needed to be bit crushed. And then after that, I added dimension expander, which just adds a little space. What it does is it copies the signal and when the pasted signal will be delayed by a certain amount of time, and you set that with the size. And the dry and wet is the mix level of the copied and pasted signal. And then I added a reverb with a really short decay, and I made it a small room just to kind of add that more to the pop. So when it pops, it has a small little room reverb. And then I used a Maximus. This is the de-esser preset. And when I loaded up the de-esser preset in Maximus, I pulled down this band because the high frequencies were annoying. And then I used this curve right here in the master just to pop it up. And then after that, I have a fruity balance, and I'm automating the volume. Every 16th note is coming down to make it more snappy. And then after that, I recorded it into Edison, and then I'll turn off the source sound and turn on the resampled source. So this is the resampled sound right here. And after that, I loaded up the sample, which is right here. And I dropped the pitch of it a whole octave because I thought that it was too annoying being high frequencies, and it just sounded better when I dropped it a whole octave, so I stuck with it. And there's a lot of post-processing going on for this resampled source. And another important thing I did is I chopped it up every eighth note, as you can see right here. And a big contributor to how it sounds, I changed the declicking mode to smooth bleeding, because when it's on the normal mode, this is how it sounds. You can hear those annoying pops and clicks, and doesn't kind of flow and doesn't feel smooth. So I chose the smooth bleeding, which adds these nice fades, and it gives it a lot more fullness while it still retains the snappiness. So that's why I chose that. And now I cut it up and chose the declicking mode after I already post-process it. So this wasn't the initial thing I did. This is something I did after I processed it, and I thought it would sound better. So that's how that happened. Just wanted to let you know that. But once I got the sample and I dropped the pitch, I threw in a Maximus just to kind of shape it, pop it up a little bit. And then I threw in the effector. And this effector is really important because it's another bit crusher. And I'm automating the X parameter, which adds to the riser effect. Because without the bit crusher automation, this is how it sounds. It barely feels like it's rising, but with the movement of the bit crusher. It just adds that rising feeling, which is very nice. And then I have another EQ, and this one just shapes it. It's high pass with a little boost around 40,000 hertz. No, I mean 4,000 hertz. My bad. And then I have a delay here. This one isn't as fast as the other one. It's doing 16th notes, so it's not going to give it really metallic quality, but it kind of adds to the pop. I have the feedback ridiculously low, just so the delayed signal happens only like once, I believe, or once or twice. Because the higher you have the feedback, the longer and more delays you're going to have, but the shorter it is, the less delay you're going to have. And that's why I did that. It just adds like a space and ambience to the sound. And I have this reverb really low mixed in. And this one, again, is a really short decay in a small room because it just has like that small room feel. And then I use a limiter just to get it loud again, and I just push up the gain. And then I use this final Maximus to just really crank it up and make it loud and sausage. And that's how I got this sound. Now for the original sound, I believe he may have used a sample to create it, because later in the song he pitches it down and gets it really low. I'm not sure if it's the bit crusher or the fact he might be using a sample, and that when it goes lower, it loses some high frequencies, which is what happens when you lower samples that have higher frequencies. So if I take the snare, if I drop it like an octave, it just loses high frequencies. As you can see up here anyway, I drop it like 25. It loses those high frequencies, and that's what I mean by that. But yeah, that's how I got the sound. To create something like this, just remember your 3 important things, which is the pitch envelope would give it that pop, along with the volume to give it attack, and a bit crusher to give it that quality. And those are the 3 important things to creating that sound. And yeah, I know this wasn't my best. It was definitely a challenge because this is out of what I normally do, and this isn't a sound I'd actually think of if I was making a sound on my own. Because when I'm making like dubstep and electro or something like that, it just, I guess I'd never think of creating a sound like that. So it's definitely a challenge, and I appreciate that. It was kind of fun to do something different and try to create something new. So I appreciate that. And yeah, if you would like to request a sound, I have info in the description of how you can go about that. And yes, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope to see y'all later.